There was a database that people could go into and figure that out without having to have a meeting. We didn't have to have all hands meeting. We saw, okay, hey, this is where we're at in the maintenance routine. This is where we're at with non-standard job that's coming up. Hey, I can drill down. I can look at this guy's notes, right? What does that look like in your business? Today, we're talking about installing the second discipline inside phase 3, cadence. It's the watch schedule. The watch is the daily operating rhythm, the heartbeat of what your crew actually does. It's what gets done, by whom, by when. That's it. Every crew member on a ship has a schedule. They already know what hours they're going to work. They know what jobs they're going to do during the day. They know exactly how many days they have to do it and when they need it to be completed by. This is the watch schedule. This is the operating rhythm. A lot of people have fallen into a standard quo, a standard rhythm and pace of the job, right? This a lot of times this happens by accident. Companies that go the next step also understand critical path. What do I mean by critical path? When I was managing 225 megawatts as VP of operations for a rugged data center deployment, it was chaos because the speed at which we had to move was way faster than anything industry norms would allow for, right? With the amount of both dollars on the line and execution speed that we needed to have, we had to juggle a ton. And one of the main guiding principles that kept us on pace was, what is the one thing that if it didn't happen would back everything else up and cause delays going cascading down the line? That's what's called critical path. Companies today don't spend enough time understanding what their critical path looks like. If one thing doesn't happen, what gets held up? That is understanding critical path to and being able to work a way to pull forward those critical operations that need to take place so that your sequencing doesn't mess up your timing. And that's how you gain maximum efficiency, is when you're not being stopped. If the work doesn't stop because something else didn't happen, because there was a pace that something didn't fall into sequence and didn't land right, and all of a sudden your whole job is backed up. In project management, it's called critical path. Most companies don't even know what that is. You need to find out what it is in your business, because I promise you, you probably have one that you just don't even know. So the watch schedule at sea has a rhythm. Everybody knows exactly what they're going to be doing every day. There's no question. They're going to get up. They're going to go to work. This is exactly what I'm going to do during my overtime hours. This is my watch schedule where I'm supposed to be on the bridge, making sure that navigation equipment is working. Like, everybody knows the pace. Everybody knows the rhythm. The captain doesn't have to be constantly going around like, hey, are you on watch? Hey, are you on watch? Hey, are you getting that done? Hey, doing the constant check-ins, right? No, the system is designed. The departments all the way down to everybody at the ground level. Everybody knows the system and the pace and the rhythm, and there's already checks and balances built into your operating cadence. That's the watch. That's when you know you have a system that creates momentum by itself. So you have three parts of your watch schedule. You have your execution, you have your communication, and then you have data flow, right? Data transfer. We talked about execution already, but number 2 is communication. So during the watch, there would be a point in time when one watch would end and the next one would begin. That intersection is called the handover, turning over the watch. In that, everybody had to communicate exactly what happened, where they're at in the operation, what's coming up. They had to brief the oncoming watch officer what was about to happen. That handoff, that turnover happens inside of your business all the time. It's just not formalized, because everybody, how many times does you have your controller has to call up somebody in operations, say, hey, somebody didn't fill out this piece of paper right, and now my accounting's all screwed up. Fix it. And it's just this constant back and forth on the phone calls where people are distracting each other in their departments, and they're not getting any work done because There was no operating cadence for communication. There was no planned time set aside so that they can find those things that need to be addressed between people so that everybody else can do their job. If it's not scheduled, it's going to be unscheduled and it's going to be in the form of phone calls or messages that are going to distract people. And the data supports that people need time to be able to do a job. When somebody loses focus, when somebody loses focus on what they're working on, they actually become less efficient. And so the way to raise efficiency is to have scheduled time for people to have those conversations that need to happen. They legitimately need to happen. Like your controller legitimately needs to rectify the books, right? But they need to do it on an operating cadence, right? So that making sure that the operations guys don't have to stop what they're doing and go focus on something else that distracts them from being able to be efficient as a unit. That's the key. That's the difference. It's not, don't call me. It's, hey, let's schedule time to talk to make sure that we are all on the same page, because that is how you start to build in cadence. That's how you start to build in communication rhythm. On a ship, we had three different levels. It was a daily huddle, 15 minutes, safety meeting. We went through and talked about all the different things that we were going to be doing for the day, gave out tasks, assignments, what safety, so on and so forth. 15 minutes, all you need. Maybe a 30 minutes on a really complex day. But it was a daily check-in where we came together as a team and said, here's what's happening. And then we had the weekly schedules or the monthly, right? Where those were the more like the company meetings, the safety drills, or the different the different all hands meetings where we came together as a ship and we said, okay, here's what's going on. We're getting ready for port. We're doing all this stuff. Here's what needs to happen before we get in. And it was a all hands meeting, but it happened on a longer time horizon because it didn't it was a review, like a mini review. Those check-ins lasted anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, but they didn't happen all the time. And then you had the big ones, the big voyage reviews or the quarterly reviews in which the we got together and we had these major drills or we had a major update, and it was a time that we could reflect together on how we were progressing as a unit. So there's the three levels of communication cadence that were installed on a ship. You can install those into your business so that you can have scheduled time, not emergency time, right? Not like, hey, my hair's on fire. I got to figure out what to do with all this other things happening. No, schedule the right time to be able to address the things that need to be addressed to keep people aligned. And that leads to the third one. It's data transfer. What facilitates information flowing between people and departments without having to have a meeting? That underlying system also needs to be in place. For us on a ship, we had a planned maintenance schedule, right? We had a centralized computer based database that had all the orders, that had all of the jobs, the standard jobs, and had all of our non-standard jobs that we would create. It was a central hub in which all departments, including the captain, can go into and figure out exactly what's on the schedule, right? What's happening? Where are people working? There was a database that people could go into and figure that out without having to have a meeting. We didn't have to have all hands meeting. We saw, okay, hey, this is where we're at in the maintenance routine. This is where we're at with non-standard job that's coming up. Hey, I can drill down. I can look at this guy's notes, right? What does that look like in your business? Do you have a database or a place that your people can go and get plugged into so that they don't have to have a meeting? They don't have to have those distracting hey, do you got a quick minute? Hey, do you got 30 seconds? Hey, can I get 15? Right? All that starts to disappear when people can already go and get that quick information that they need to keep themselves moving. That's how you install a watch. Three things: execution rhythm, communication rhythm, data transfer rhythm. Install those things in your business today, and you start to look like you'll start to look like a different business that's running on a cadence. Subscribe, The Alex Hayes, Fractional COO, to keep learning more. Stay on course.